You're listening to this week's episode of the Vacation Rental Business in Today's World podcast. You're about to start transforming your business and life with the information found here. We interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in the vacation short-term rental industry and supporting businesses. The information found here is a combination of brain science, transformational thinking, safety and loss prevention, and vacation short-term rental knowledge and experiences, all rolled into one to help you and your business to achieve levels you never thought possible. I am glad you are here, and now please welcome your host, Eric Thibodeau.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Safer VR Podcast, where we're talking about vacation rental businesses in today's world. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about self-awareness. And why is it so important in how we're working in our business? When I was growing up, I was, my dad was a math teacher, and I was taking advanced math, and he was teaching me how to solve differential derivative equations from a calculus standpoint, using an iterative process. Iterations basically means you try this iteration to solve the problem, and if it doesn't work, you get closer and you solve the next one. So it's kind of like a changing and moving and learning. And so he taught me this iterative process with the limit theorem when I was in high school to solve these equations. And so it would take quite a long time to get the answer. And then the big iteration or change, he said, well, here's a formula where you can do it in about 30 seconds. However, I learned the process, I learned about iterations, and I learned a formula. I changed and I understood. Later in college, I was in a similar type of situation. We were doing flow calculations in engineering class. And basically, once again, we were using a formula, but it required an iterative process to determine and balance the flow in the lines. So you would try, make a guess, apply it, and then do it again. And then finally you would get it. And then, after about a week of learning that technique, the Professor Brock said, here you go, here's a formula. You don't have to do that anymore. We've learned how to do that. And so it's this process of learning and iterating and changing that we go through. And I think this applies also in our life, right? We are learning, we're trying different iterations of things, and we're changing. And then when we look at really this big thing we call a transformation, right? So a transformation is, it's not really an event, it's a process. It's like these formulas, right? I'm going through and I'm practicing and I'm learning, and maybe I'm not exactly sure what's happening. However, I've committed to the process. For example, as I described, we get to change, redecide, or iterate when something is not working. And we could apply this to a lot of different things in our lives, and we could apply it in our business. However, something has to happen before we can begin this transformation iterative process, and that is self-awareness. So self-awareness is the first step to beginning any transformation. And it could be in your life like, hey, I'm overweight. I need to lose 30 pounds, right? I am now aware myself. Maybe other people, your doctors told you, hey, you need to lose weight. They always tell you that, by the way. And so now we look at this and say, now I'm self-aware. I see this. And then it could be in our business, our revenue that we're generating for the month of April is not coming in like we want to. So I need to look at my process of how I'm applying our rental rates, our our revenue forecasting. And so once again, we've become self-aware of an issue. And now we begin this transformation, this process, not just a one-time thing. It's this process that we're going to learn, right? And then we can apply this in safety as well as we go through. And unfortunately, or fortunately, in the safety world, we seem to learn a lot through the iterative process. And this is one of my main objectives for the vacation rental world and industry, is to understand that there are different applications and things that we can do to manage safety and loss prevention in our business. That's step one. Hey, I've become self-aware that I need to change the safety and loss prevention and how I'm applying it in my business. Now I begin a transformation process. So everything begins with self-awareness. And a lot of times we struggle with self-awareness. So really, you gain clarity about what you're seeking, and you know it's not the issue of the problem. So you iterate, you go deeper into the issue, right? You're self-aware, you're in this transformation process, and now you've begun this whole view of how you want to change. And when we begin this process, just like whether it's any of the three examples with safety, with weight loss, with revenue management, it begins with this process of self-awareness, and we know we need to transform. However, in this process of transforming, this initial self-awareness takes place in our prefrontal cortex in our brain, right in the front of our head. We have this idea: I want to lose weight. I want to increase revenue. I want to improve the safety and loss prevention of my business and my vacation rental property. So that transformational is starting, and then it may last a day or two or three. And then we begin to see, hey, I'm not really wanting to change as much. And so now what's happening is our brain is telling us, hey, it's really easy just not to go to the gym and exercise. Hey, it's the revenue will come in, it will be okay. We don't really have to go through this process and work extra hard. Hey, you've never really had any incidents in your business. So I think we don't really need to worry about making change in this process of safety and loss prevention. And so this is what your brain's doing, and it does it very well, right? And it's telling you, hey, it's trying to protect you from different things, right? All these three situations we explained are things that you are comfortable with, right? Your brain likes to keep things in this normal routine and pattern. 80 to 90% of everything we do each day is based upon basically our subconscious mind making decisions for us. And when we decide we want to go a different way, our brain fights back with us. Then we have to understand and dig deeper in what I call transformational thinking. If you are ready and want to grow and do things faster. And really, this is where we kind of get into, coaching and looking at your limiting beliefs, right? However, this is really good when we've become self-aware of the problem. However, one of the things that holds us back in self-awareness is your attachment, right? You're attached to different things. I'm attached to not wanting to exercise because I don't want to lose weight. It could be I want to lose weight, but I don't really want to go to the gym because then people are going to see me. And all these stories begin to come up. So your attachment comes from a lack of awareness, right? So sometimes I don't really, you don't really have awareness of what you're attached to until you start to try to make some changes in your life. And then it becomes really difficult because your brain is protecting you and keeping you safe, and it wants to not allow you to make some changes. And sometimes you can work through these, but most of the time, you're just not going to be able to do it. That's why so many people who attempt to lose weight can't do it. That's why individuals who um, want to change how they think about revenue management can't do it, right? All these things that are in our life, right? When we're at work and we're working on revenue management, setting rates, we don't really separate our home life, our non-work life. We are one person, one brain doing the same activities. And our brain really doesn't know the difference that I'm doing revenue management, setting rates, or I'm trying to balance my checkbook and manage my home finances. And by the way, my home finances are a wreck and I'm struggling with that. And so all these things come up to prevent us from creating the transformation that we really need. But along the way, when we're taking a look at whether we want to transform, if you're not really aware of the issue, it's really difficult to say, I want to transform. So self-awareness is the first step to begin transformation. You have to be aware, and it's not just the same as somebody telling you that you need to take this and begin this activity or behavior. You have to be able to do it yourself. And in today's culture, I believe that we are probably, most of us, the least aware of our current lives and situations. I see it when I travel a lot in the airport. I travel to different countries. I see people not aware of their surroundings or their situations. I see people running to gates to catch flights because they're unaware of the time. And different things happen. However, when you look at how aware are we in our lives today, and each one of us need to take a look at that and answer the question and say, am I aware of what I need to do to change? And that's the first step. If you never are aware, you're never going to change. So this is step one. Then after that, step two, we're going to find that our brains are going to keep us from wanting to implement this change because we have limiting beliefs, right? Because if we would already have the change that we wanted in our lives, if it was already in our identity, we would already be the person that we would want to be. My choice would already have been made, and I would be living that life of having lost 30 pounds, of creating stronger revenue in my meetings, revenue meetings, and setting those targets. And I would have, a good safety and loss prevention program because this is what I've already achieved. However, if we have done those things, I think it's fantastic. But there are things in our lives that come up each day that as we become aware and we want to transform, we want to begin this process of change. After a few days, we lose that momentum because our brains are holding us back. And there's ways to work through that, to identify what those limiting beliefs are and why they're occurring in our lives, and then basically remove those through a process called synaptic pruning. So I'd like you to consider today just how aware or self-aware you are in your work and what your activities are. And are you transforming? Are you continuing to go through this iterative process of just doing as my dad said, the limit theorem, 30, 40 times. And then finally, I guess well enough to get the answer. Or is there a formula? Is there a way where you can take a look at your limiting beliefs and what's coming up and work with me or someone else who's trained to help with those activities, to help you identify those beliefs, to move past the blocks that are holding you back. And they're there. I mean, I have found numerous individuals, these limiting beliefs are there, and I found them in myself. You don't even recognize they're present. They're running on autopilot, and they're holding you back from achieving the transformations in life and in business that you want. So take a look at your life, take a look at what's happening in your business, and are you running an iterative process, or do you want to work with someone who has a formula to help unlock and begin this transformation? So I appreciate your time today. If you're interested in any activity, visit me on at Safer VRs, www.safervrs.com, and check out our Facebook page at Vacation Rental Safety. I'm interested in any questions or feedback, and look forward to hearing from you. And I want you to go out and create a safe day. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Safer VRs Podcast with Eric Thibodeau. If you enjoy this, I would love you to join my Facebook group, The Safer Vacation Rentals, for more of the same. You can also join our email list at www.safervrs.com.